The deep space research vessel Zephora drifted through the void, its sleek silver hull reflecting the light of a distant star. Inside, Captain Walter of the Zephorian Science Guild studied the holographic display before him. His tendrils twitched in confusion. Something was wrong. "Are you certain about this reading?" he asked, his voice sharp with disbelief. The young technician, Dralvik, hesitated before nodding. "Yes, Captain. The data is accurate. We have detected a Class 14 Deathworld." A hush fell over the command deck. A Class 14. That was impossible. No species in the known galaxy had ever successfully colonized a planet ranked so high in danger. The atmosphere alone should be toxic. The gravity should be unbearable. The ecosystem should be nothing short of a nightmare. And yet, the readings suggested life. "Where exactly is this Deathworld located?" Walter asked. Dralvik hesitated again. "In Sector 476. It's located in the Sol system." Walter's eyes widened. Sol system. But that system is already charted. The planet in question, third from the star, was classified centuries ago. It was deemed unsuitable for colonization. The records call it Earth. A ripple of unease spread through the crew. Earth. The name was familiar. Old records spoke of it, but no species had dared explore it in depth. The initial scans, taken long ago, describe a chaotic world filled with storms, extreme heat, ice, and constant geological upheaval. It was a world of destruction. And yet, their current scans painted a different picture. "Captain," Dralvik said, his voice shaking, "there are signs of advanced civilization on the surface." Silence. That was impossible. A planet ranked as Class 14 should not be habitable, let alone home to a technological society. "Run another scan," Walter ordered. Dralvik complied, his clawed fingers dancing over the control panel. The results appeared within seconds, and what they revealed sent chills through the crew. Not only was Earth inhabited, it was thriving. Skyscrapers pierced the sky, cities glowed in the dark, and the electromagnetic spectrum was filled with millions of signals, communication, data transfers, and even spacefaring technology. There were orbiting satellites and signs of interplanetary travel within the system. "This doesn't make sense," Walter muttered. "How could a species survive on a death world like this?" "Captain," another officer, Xylan, called out, "should we send a probe?" Walter hesitated. A probe would be a small risk. They could gather more data without revealing their presence. "Send it," he finally said. A small, sleek drone was launched from the Zephora, its engines humming as it entered Earth's atmosphere. The crew watched as its sensors activated, scanning the surface. The first readings confirmed their fears. Earth was a nightmare world. Gravity was far stronger than most habitable planets. The weather was wild and unpredictable. Oceans covered vast portions of the surface, filled with massive predators. The land was home to deadly beasts, some with sharp teeth, others with lethal poisons. Even the plants were aggressive. Some trapped and devoured animals. And yet, humans ruled over them all. The probe zoomed in on one of Earth's cities. Skyscrapers, vehicles, technology far beyond what should be possible for a species that evolved in such a hostile place. The probe intercepted radio waves, music, conversations, even transmissions that suggested military activity. Then something strange happened. The drone's systems glitched. "What was that?" Dralvik asked, frantically typing commands. Something just scanned us back." A sense of dread filled the control deck. That was not possible. Alien species could not detect their probes, at least not without superior technology. And Earth was supposed to be primitive. Yet their drone's signal was being traced. "Abort mission," Walter ordered. "Pull the probe back now." Dralvik tried, but it was too late. A sudden burst of energy erupted from Earth's surface, a directed electromagnetic pulse. The probe went dark. On board the Zephora, alarms blared. The crew watched in horror as their connection to the probe was completely severed. "Captain," Xylan whispered, "they destroyed it." Walter felt a cold chill creep through him. A Class 14 Deathworld was terrifying enough, but a species intelligent enough to detect, trace, and eliminate their probe in mere moments. That was something else entirely. "Captain," Dralvik said, his voice weak, "I don't think they just destroyed it." He hesitated before continuing. "I think they hacked it." Walter's eyes widened. A Deathworld species capable of turning their own technology against them. For the first time in his career, Captain Walter felt true fear, and deep in the vastness of space, humanity had just noticed them. Panic spread through the Xyphora's command deck. The alien probe had been hacked and destroyed in mere seconds. No primitive species should have been able to do that. But humans, these strange creatures from the Class 14 Deathworld called Earth, had done the impossible. Captain Walter's tendrils curled tightly in alarm. "What data did we receive before the probe went offline?" he demanded. Dralvik's fingers trembled as he accessed the probe's last transmission. "The final moments. Show something unnerving, Captain." A holographic screen flickered to life. The grainy footage revealed a massive human city from the drone's perspective. Towers of glass and steel stretched toward the sky, their blinking lights forming intricate patterns, but something was wrong. The drone's system had detected a signal, a strange energy signature that should not have been possible for a pre-FTL species. Then, suddenly, everything changed. The footage turned to static before flashing back, this time with something new. A human face filled the screen. A male of the species, staring directly into the probe's camera. His expression was calm, almost amused. But his eyes, they were sharp, piercing, as if he knew the crew was watching. Then he spoke. "Nice try." The command deck fell into absolute silence. Dralvik's mandibles clicked anxiously. "Captain, how is this possible? They not only detected our probe, but they also hacked it and sent us a message." Walter's mind raced. This changed everything. Primitive species, especially those from Deathworlds, were expected to be brutal, maybe even intelligent, but not this advanced. A civilization that could counter-hack alien technology in seconds was not primitive. It was something far worse. "They saw us," Xylan whispered, breaking the silence. "Not just the probe. They knew we were watching." The implications were terrifying. If humans had the capability to detect, trace, and respond in real time to an undetectable alien probe, then what else were they capable of? "Captain," Dralvik said, his voice filled with uncertainty, "there's more." The footage continued. The human grinned, then held up a handwritten message. Simple, direct, chilling. "You are not ready for us." Then the probe's systems fried. The last recorded image was an intense electromagnetic burst, followed by darkness. Walter's breathing quickened. This was no accident. The humans had not only found the probe, they had sent a warning. A Deathworld species that could outthink, outmaneuver, and taunt a galactic research vessel. This was not supposed to happen. "What do we do, Captain?" Xylan asked. Walter hesitated. The logical choice was to retreat immediately. This planet, this species, was a threat beyond anything they had encountered before. The Galactic Council had to be informed at once. But something inside him shivered. Humans had already seen them, which meant they might already be watching. And if that was true, then it was already too late. A heavy silence filled the command deck of the Xyphora. The alien crew stared at the frozen image on the holographic screen, the human's face, his eerie grin, and the chilling message. "You are not ready for us." Captain Walter's tendrils twitched nervously. No species had ever responded to an observation probe like this before. They were supposed to be invisible, unnoticed by primitive civilizations. But the humans, they had not only seen the probe but hacked it and sent a direct warning. "Captain," Dralvik's voice was low, almost fearful. We must inform the Galactic Council. This is not a normal pre-FTL species. Walter nodded, his mind racing. If humanity had this level of technological awareness, what else were they hiding? Before he could give the order to transmit the findings to the Council, a sudden alarm blared across the ship. Incoming transmission. Xylan shouted. His mandibles clacked together in fear. Captain, we are receiving an encrypted signal. From the planet. Impossible. Walter snapped. No pre-spacefaring civilization should be able to send signals powerful enough to breach a galactic research ship's security. Yet, the transmission was coming from Earth, directly aimed at them. The crew watched as the holographic display flickered, then stabilized. A human appeared. Not just any human. The same one who had stared into the probe's camera. He was calm, sitting in a dimly lit room with strange glowing devices behind him. His expression was unreadable. Then he spoke. To the crew of the unknown vessel, the human's voice was smooth, confident. We know you are there. We know you are watching. And we have a message for you. Xylan's breathing became shallow. Captain, they know about us. The human leaned forward slightly. You think Earth is just another primitive Deathworld. You think we are unaware of what's beyond our system. His lips curled into a knowing smirk. You are wrong. A strange hum filled the Zyphora's systems. Something was happening. Dralvik frantically scanned the consoles. Captain, our ship's security is being breached. They are attempting to access our data. Shut it down. Walter roared. We can't. Xylan's claws tapped furiously at the controls. They're inside the system. On the holographic display, the human simply watched them, his gaze sharp. Consider this a warning, he said. We are not helpless. And if you think we are prey. The lights on the Zephora flickered. For a brief moment, the entire ship's system froze. The alien crew held their breath as an overwhelming sense of dread washed over them. Then, the ship's systems rebooted. Everything returned to normal. The transmission ended. But a new message flashed across the main screen, written in their own language. Lee. Now. Walter felt his chest tighten. Humans were not just aware of them. They were in control. And that meant they were in danger. Prepare for emergency retreat, he ordered. The Zephora turned away from Earth, engines burning at full power. They needed to warn the galaxy. Because if humanity was already this powerful before reaching the stars, what would they become once they did? The Zephora tore through the void of space, fleeing Earth at maximum speed. Captain Walter sat in tense silence, his mind racing. This was no ordinary mission anymore. They had come to observe a dangerous, primitive world. Instead, they had encountered something else entirely. A species that was aware of them, hacked their systems, and warned them to leave. And Walter believed them. After hours of travel, the ship finally approached the massive Galactic Council station, orbiting the core world of Velicor Prime. This was where the most powerful species of the galaxy gathered to discuss major threats. Walter wasted no time. As soon as the ship docked, he and his crew rushed to the council chamber. The circular hall was filled with delegates from dozens of advanced civilizations, reptilian Scarvi, towering Urlash, multi-limbed Venari, and many more. At the center, Chancellor Xyros, leader of the Galactic Council, sat on an elevated platform, his glowing eyes locked on Walter. You bring urgent news, Captain. Tyros asked, his deep voice echoing through the chamber. Walter stepped forward. Yes, Chancellor. We have encountered a civilization unlike anything we have ever seen. The room fell silent. Every delegate turned their attention to him. Walter activated his data pad, and a massive holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed the human who had taken control of their probe, their chilling message playing for all to see. We know you are there. We know you are watching. And we have a message for you. Murmurs erupted among the delegates. Some looked concerned. Others looked afraid. Walter took a deep breath. This species, these humans from Earth, they are officially classified as a Class 14 Deathworld species, but I believe this classification is wrong." He paused. "It is too low." Gasps filled the chamber. "A Deathworld beyond Class 14. One delegate whispered. "Nonsense," barked a large armored Trellixian warrior. "Their technology is primitive. They have not even reached interstellar travel." Walter turned toward the warrior. "Then explain how they hacked a secure galactic research vessel and took control of our systems." He gestured toward the hologram. "Explain how they sent us a warning before we could even report our presence." The Trellixian had no answer. Chancellor Xyros leaned forward, his glowing eyes narrowing. "Are you saying these humans possess advanced intelligence, despite their technological level?" Walter hesitated, then nodded. "They are beyond intelligence, Chancellor. They are aware of the galaxy, aware of us, and they are warning us for a reason." Xyros sat back, deep in thought. The chamber was silent again. Everyone could feel it. The weight of what this meant. After a moment, a Venari scientist spoke. "If they have such abilities, should we attempt contact?" The chamber erupted into chaos. Some argued for diplomacy. Others demanded containment, or even elimination, before humans could spread beyond their world. Walter clenched his jaw. "Chancellor, I believe these humans are not just dangerous. They are prepared. We must be cautious." Xyros slowly nodded. Then he spoke the words that changed everything. "The Council will send an emissary to Earth." Walter's blood ran cold. A first contact mission, with a species that already knew about them. This could either save the galaxy or destroy it. The decision had been made. The Galactic Council would send an emissary to Earth. Captain Walter sat silently in the council chamber, his mind racing. He had warned them. Humans were different. They were aware, dangerous, and unpredictable. But the council, blinded by arrogance, believed they could control the situation. Chancellor Xyros had chosen Ambassador Kelnar, a seasoned diplomat from the Venari race, to lead the first contact mission. The Venari were known for their calm nature and sharp intellect, but Walter wasn't sure if anyone was truly ready for what awaited them on Earth. Kelnar approached him after the meeting, his 6 eyes blinking in curiosity. "You seem troubled, Captain." Walter sighed. "This mission is reckless. The humans already knew we were observing them. What if they see this as a threat?" Kelnar smiled. "That is why we approach carefully. Diplomacy, not force, will be our tool." Walter wanted to argue, but it was pointless. The council had made its choice. Now, all they could do was hope. The journey to Earth. A sleek diplomatic vessel, the Seraphis, departed from the galactic station, carrying Ambassador Kelnar, a small security team, and an elite team of scientists. Walter had been assigned to oversee the mission from the ship. He was not happy about it. As they neared Earth, sensors detected multiple satellites scanning them. But before the crew could react, a signal from Earth itself was transmitted directly into the Seraphis systems. "Identify yourselves." The transmission was clear, direct, in perfect galactic standard. The crew froze. Kelnar exchanged a glance with Walter. "They already know we are here." Walter gritted his teeth. "This is a mistake." The landing with caution. They descended into Earth's atmosphere, heading toward the designated meeting point, a secure human military base in a region called Nevada. As the ship touched down, the landing ramp lowered, and Kelnar stepped out first, followed by Walter and the security team. They expected armed soldiers, heavy defenses, and suspicion. Instead, they were met by a single human figure, a woman wearing a formal uniform with sharp, calculating eyes. No guards, no weapons. She smiled. "Welcome to Earth." Something was wrong. Humans were never this relaxed toward unknown visitors. Walter could feel it. They had planned for this moment. The silence stretched between the alien delegation and the lone human standing before them. Ambassador Kellner took a step forward, his voice calm but firm. I am Kellner of the Galactic Council. We come in peace, seeking understanding between our species. The human woman simply smiled. I know. Kellner hesitated. That response was too confident, too certain. Walter's instincts screamed at him. This was not a normal first contact scenario. The humans were expecting them. The hidden power of Earth. Before Kellner could respond, the woman gestured toward the large military base behind her. Please follow me. There is much to discuss. The delegation exchanged wary glances but followed. Armed soldiers stood on the walls, watching. The entire base had an air of control, not fear. Inside, they were led into a conference room where a large screen flickered to life. The Galactic Council's secret observations of Earth appeared on the display. Every scan, every probe, every intercepted transmission. Kellner's eyes widened in shock. How? How did you get this? The woman sat down, her fingers interlocked. You thought you were studying us, Ambassador. We were studying you. A chill ran down Walter's spine. Humans had allowed the Galactic Council to believe they were unnoticed. They had been watching all along. Kellner cleared his throat, trying to regain control of the situation. If you knew, why did you not respond earlier? The woman's smile never wavered. Because we wanted to see how far you'd go, to understand your intentions. The Council's biggest mistake. Kellner's mind raced. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. The Galactic Council had always held the advantage when meeting primitive species. But here, the humans were steps ahead. The woman leaned forward. And now, Ambassador, I have a question for you. She tapped a button on the table. A new image appeared. A Vanari warship, cloaked, orbiting the far side of Earth's moon. Kellner felt his breath catch. The Council had sent a hidden fleet. The woman's eyes locked onto his. Tell me, Ambassador, is this how the Galactic Council welcomes new allies? Silence filled the conference room. The image of the cloaked Vanari warship hovered on the screen like a ghostly reminder of the Galactic Council's deception. Ambassador Kellner's throat felt dry. They weren't supposed to know. The cloaking technology was supposed to be perfect. Yet here it was, exposed on their screens. How? Kellner started, his voice barely above a whisper. The human woman smiled. It wasn't a cruel smile. It wasn't mocking. But it was filled with certainty. You assume we are blind, Ambassador, she said calmly. That we do not see the things lurking in our own skies. Walter's hands clenched into fists. This was impossible. Humans weren't supposed to be this advanced. A power beyond the Council. Kellner tried to regain control of the conversation. That ship is not meant to be an act of aggression. The woman raised an eyebrow. Then why is its targeting array locked onto one of our military bases? Kellner froze. Walter quickly accessed his communicator, fingers trembling. The data was undeniable. The Vanari warship had primed its weapons, and the humans had intercepted the signal before the Council had even detected it. I see you have no answer, the woman continued. She tapped another button on the table. A new image appeared. The Vanari warship, surrounded. 5 human warships, previously hidden, had silently moved into attack positions. Massive railguns and energy cannons were aimed directly at the Vanari ship. The humans had let them think they had the advantage. But in reality, the trap had already closed. The warning. Kellner forced himself to breathe. The situation had spiraled completely out of control. The humans had detected their spying. The humans had tracked their cloaked warships. The humans had surrounded them before they even knew. This wasn't a primitive species. This was a nightmare waiting to awaken. The woman's voice was still calm, but there was an edge of finality in her tone. The Galactic Council has a choice, she said. You can continue seeing us as lesser beings and suffer the consequences. She tapped the screen once more. The human warships powered their weapons. Or, we can talk like equals. Kellner swallowed hard. This was not the peaceful first contact he had expected, but one thing was clear. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Silence gripped the Galactic Council chamber. The holographic image of the human fleet surrounding the Venari warship flickered above the table. Every representative present, Kelnar, Walter, and the others, felt a deep primal fear. They had assumed humanity was weak, primitive. They were wrong. The human ambassador, still calm and composed, leaned forward. "You see," she said, her voice smooth but firm, "we have known about your surveillance for years. We have known about your spies, your attempts to analyze our technology, your warships cloaked in the shadows." Kelnar swallowed. If the humans had known all this time, why hadn't they reacted before? As if reading his thoughts, the woman smiled slightly. "Because we wanted to see how far you'd go." The Deathworld advantage. Walter forced himself to speak. "This doesn't change the fact that your species is from a Deathworld. Your planet is hostile to all life. You evolved through violence, war, and destruction. That makes you a danger to the galaxy." The human ambassador didn't flinch. Instead, she tilted her head. "Is that what you believe?" With a flick of her hand, a new holographic display appeared, not of warships, but of Earth itself. Storms raged, volcanoes erupted, oceans churned violently. Even without war, Earth was a battlefield against nature itself. And yet, humans had survived, thrived, adapted in ways no other species ever had. "Yes," the woman admitted, "Earth is a death world. Our planet tried to kill us for millions of years. We evolved not through comfort, but through struggle. And that is why." She leaned in, her gaze piercing. "We are not afraid of you." The Council's choice. Kelnar felt trapped. Every assumption the Galactic Council had made about humans had been shattered. Their spying mission was a failure. Their intimidation tactics had backfired. The humans weren't just another species to control. They were something else entirely. "We are not conquerors," the human ambassador continued, "but we also do not submit." She tapped the control panel, and in the hologram, the human warships began pulling back, but not entirely. It was a message, a warning. "We offer peace," she said finally, "but make no mistake, we will not be prey." The tension in the room was thick as steel. Kelnar exhaled slowly. The decision was clear. The Galactic Council had no choice but to accept humanity as equals, or risk a war they could never win. The humans had beaten the galaxy without firing a single shot. The beginning of a new era. As the Council adjourned, Kelnar and Walter walked side by side. "What do we do now?" Walter muttered. Kelnar glanced at the departing human delegation, his mind still reeling. "We do what every smart species does," he said finally. "We adapt, or we die."